Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever
Good
you
evening, good
are,
morning, good
whoever you
afternoon,
are,
good whatever it is,
and
wherever
hold
you
on,
are, good morning, good
whoever you
afternoon,
are.
good
Boy, am
whatever
I
it is,
hearing myself
hold
a
on,
million
good
times
morning,
here.
good
Hold on.
afternoon, good
Boy, am
whatever
I
it is,
hearing myself
hold
a
on,
million
good
times
morning,
here.
good
Hold
afternoon,
on.
good
Boy, am
whatever
I
it is.
hearing. It was, as usual, Twitch. Thank you, Twitch, for being so helpful in our efforts to provide nerd news here on Nerd Week Live, brought to you by the folks at Nerd Caliber. I'm Rodney Brown. I'm the editor-in-chief of Nerd Caliber, first-person shooter on Facebook as a cosplay photographer, and Burley_adopter on Twitter and a couple other places, mostly as a tech journalist. Joining me tonight, let's see, we'll start with the non-Santa enabled, Mr. Byron, if you would.
Hi guys, Byron McNeil, aka Byron D0. Um, do a bunch of different things for Nerd Caliber, contributing writer, social media expert, and eventually photographer as soon as conventions start up again. um, I have a bunch of different other projects that you can check out at my link tree. That's linktr.ee/ Byron D0.
Awesome. And the the man with the even more ridiculously impressive Santa hat than I'm wearing, Greg, if you would.
Hi everybody, Greg Snyder, aka Wonder Llama Cosplay and or Photography, depending on what mood you catch me in. Thank you. My wife is a crafter extraordinaire, and she made this for me last year out of this insane yarn and crocheting or knitting needles that are like the size of turkey basters. They're about that big around, so it's kind of like if anyone's ever seen like using salad forks to like toss a salad, watching her knit with knitting needles that are the size of my forearms was entertaining, but it makes for a delightful hat. So hi everybody. It's going to be a relatively light evening compared to last week's info dump from the House of Mouse.
Although they snuck some in.
Yeah, they stuck a little bit of stuff in here and there. And yeah, I'm ready to rumble. Let's do this.
All right, cool. There's a joke somewhere about tossing your crochet, but this is a family show, so we won't do that.
Family program.
Welcome, all you folks in the chats. Let's start with the YouTubes. Lily Hart, welcome to the show. In case you didn't get that from the introduction, what this is a rundown of nerd news from the previous week that we think is something that you should know about. And maybe you do already know about it, in which case we'll probably go into a few things about it that you might not know. Enzo, welcome to the show. Luminous, welcome to the show. Good luck with using your phone. If you can, you're more talented at that stuff than I am. Kate, welcome to the show and Merry Christmas. Obviously, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays from those of us who are celebrating and, all gussied up, as we used to say.
You know what? Rodney, I just realized we missed a huge opportunity. Maybe we could throw this in at the very end. We haven't done in a while our could we please or could we not.
Okay.
Could we substitute in the always appropriate for 2 days before Christmas, or 3 days rather, the airing of grievances?
Yes.
Sure. I'm not sure that I've got any, but I'll try to come
up with... One grievance per person.
All right, I'll try to come up with something.
Well, yeah, Festivus is tomorrow, isn't it?
Festivus is tomorrow.
All right, so on a much less Festivus note, we're going to start with a remembrance of Jeremy Bulloch. Last week, Jeremy Bulloch, as we all know, the original, the OG Boba Fett from the original trilogy, passed away at the age of 75. And that's really sad news. As I discovered, sadly, when a couple of weeks ago we lost David Prowse, I knew him from a lot of things that I didn't realize I knew him from, other than, of course, being in costume as the original Boba Fett. If you were a James Bond fan, he was in half a dozen.
Really?
Not huge character roles, but they were speaking roles usually. And often a sort of villainous henchman or side, kick villain or something like that. I knew him from, and I completely forgot about this one, The Third Doctor. He played a time traveler from a gathering Anglo-Saxon Britain. That's him with the long, wonderfully 1970s haircut for a
Yes.
Anglo-Saxon. And if you ever watched the 1980s, it's only on for 2 seasons, Robin Hood from the BBC. The one where Robin Hood was essentially a title, and it was actually over 2 different seasons. It was 2 different people. He played a recurring character, Edward of Whitmore, I think his name was, and that's him there from that show.
Very grizzled.
Very grizzled. That was the show where Robin was a title that was bestowed by the god, whatever you wanted to call him, Hearn the Hunter.
Like Dread Pirate Roberts.
Yeah, kind of like Dread Pirate Roberts, except there's no, horned god that's giving it to anybody that I know of.
It's almost like that last movie, only done right.
Which last movie?
The Taron Egerton one.
Oh, the Robin Hood. Oh, God. Yeah. In fact, if there's anything, it is so steeped in Celtic mythology and folklore that it's, it is the anti-Taron Egerton Robin Hood.
How does it compare to the BBC Robin, or I don't know, it was like BBC 4 Robin Hood from like the early 2000s, mid 2000s? Did you ever watch that?
That one was sort of more like a Xena Warrior Princess version.
Yes, it got cut down before it could ever really take off.
Yeah. It's way more, it takes itself way more seriously. Again, Robin Hood literally is a title that, one of the weirdest Celtic mythological figures just bestows on, this guy and says, you got to go, help the peasants. Lots of stone circles, lots of horned gods that are 7 feet tall and green and, pretty, almost Studio Ghibli kind of stuff.
Wow.
Done, it's live action. None of it's not Studio Ghibli. Luminous, what a great guy. I heard him speak at a con, and he was very eloquent. One of the best panels I ever attended when I was both working for Nerd Caliber and doing photography for Rhode Island Comic Con was a panel that featured all of the bounty hunters from Empire.
Cool.
Wow.
And it was wonderful. I can't remember any of the other actors' names, which is really too bad. But the guy who played the lizard dude, the guy who did the voice of the IG-88, it was wonderful. And Bulloch, yes, just one of the nicest guys.
Go ahead.
I was
gonna say one memory that I have of him was from, I think it was like the first or second San Diego Comic Con that Attack of the Show was covering, and he had they had interviewed him and the actors for Django and young Boba Fett as well. And it was just it was a really lovely send off to not only the character but just to the legacy of Star Wars as a whole, because at that point the kid who played young Boba Fett was a young adult.
Yeah. Cool. I would have liked to have seen that too. I don't know if I saw that. I think I saw everything that they ever did. But Crash over there on the Twitch chats, Reptile Guy.
Woo-hoo. Yes.
that is in fact Reptile Guy. That's what he was. Bosk. Thank you.
Yes.
That's the name. Bosk.
Reptile.
My one actual real close encounter with him, other than taking photos of him right up close at that panel. Super Mega Fest, which is a Massachusetts convention here in Framingham, Mass. 2012, I think. I went into the bar to find some friends, and they were all sitting at the bar, all around the sort of U bar, with Jeremy Bulloch right in the middle, just having the best time telling tales. They were, literally listening to every word he said, and frankly, it was a pretty convenient way for Jeremy Bulloch to get lots of free drinks. But he was, again, just the nicest guy. And it's a shame for all of us fans and anybody who ever ran crossed him in real life. It's a real bummer. But
How old was he?
75.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Not that old.
Yep. I haven't seen, but then again, I haven't followed up much on this. Unlike after the announcement, we found out that Prowse died from effects of COVID-19. I haven't seen that about Bulloch. I'm not really sure. It doesn't say in this article why or what the cause of death was. So, you know, whatever it was, I hope it was an easy passage, and wish his family well. But yeah, so that's our remembrance this week. Sadly, we seem to have these pretty regularly at this point.
Yep.
But now it's time to move on to they couldn't stop it. They couldn't help themselves. They had to squeak in more news after last week. Yep, more Marvel, Disney stuff. Not that I'm complaining. The big thing here is that we found out some release months, I guess, for stuff that they did not mention during the Investor Day. So, like, we knew Falcon and Winter Soldier is coming in March. Black Widow is still in May. WandaVision, we found out, is January 15th. They just announced that Loki will be May of this coming year, sometime in May.
Not bad.
I'm pretty sure that this is already set, but Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings will be July 9th.
Ooh.
And they are confirming that both Ms. Marvel and Hawkeye will be, quote, late 2021 premieres on Disney+. And we had known before that Eternals was going to be November 5th. We already knew that. So, good news.
Lots of good news.
Yes.
Works for me.
Needy budget.
Loki, Ms. Marvel, or Hawkeye? What are we most excited for?
I would say I'm probably more excited for WandaVision.
Okay, all right. I'm thinking of things that we don't know is coming up in like 3 weeks. So
okay, in that case, probably Hawkeye.
I can buy that. If they, which it looks like they're doing, if they sort of keep with the Matt Fraction sensibility of, you know, just a real human, very flawed human being trying his best in a world where, you know, his buddies are, you know, Norse gods and super soldiers. Yeah, I would like that a lot. Greg?
And he's nursing a hangover before he has to come fight crime.
Yeah, I think I'm going with Loki. Just I've always liked the character. It's cool that it's Tom Hiddleston. He's a great actor. He does a great job with the role. And from the previews that I've seen so far, it looks like it's going to be very nod, wink, kind of, you know, I mean, that's Loki. He's a trickster, obviously, but it looks like he may be getting a little more to work with and not just being, you know, the bad guy who has a Tesseract, which, okay, cool. But, you know, it's potentially a little more scenery to chew on for Tom Hiddleston. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
so
that's what he's grown into
for
at this point.
Yep.
He has, although, to be fair, this Loki is the Loki that was captured at the end of New York.
Yes.
He hasn't grown into, you know, he hasn't tried to, you know, steal his father's power. He hasn't, you know, been cast aside on the Battle World. I can't remember the name. In Ragnarok, he hasn't sort of come to peace with, you know, the love-hate relationship with his brother, which he did at the end of Ragnarok.
Right. No, I meant more that, you know, instead of just being the sort of the antagonist for all the other people, he looks like he may have a little more, you know, he's the main guy. He's the protagonist, whether he's a hero or an anti-hero. He's the main focus of his own series, one would assume. So I think that's potentially a pretty cool way to get some interesting storylines together. I mean, there's no shortage of cool storylines about Loki trickstering the trickstery stuff.
Yep.
Yes.
It's really hard for me to pick. I'm a big fan of Ms. Marvel. It was such a surprisingly outstandingly written look into not only a new superhero, but an aspect of American life and culture that I knew nothing about. And so for that, I really love the comic, and I really hope they're going to be doing that with the series. But I was worried that all of the hints were that Loki was going to be a sort of episodic series in which Tom Hiddleston was kind of mostly going to be a narrator like glue.
Yeah.
And that's clearly not the case. You know, he is absolutely the star of, well, every scene we've seen so far. And that being the case, then, yeah, I think Loki has a little bit of an edge for me on what I'm most excited for.
Well, yeah, I mean, it makes sense because Disney's putting all this money into not just this project, but a bunch of like other projects. So it would be a waste to not have Tom Hiddleston on camera as much as possible.
Yep, absolutely. All right, this next piece of news is just kind of a quick thing because there's almost no details on it. In a recent interview, the VP of Intellectual Property and Entertainment, Greg Street at Riot, confirmed a long-standing rumor that Riot is working on a League of Legends MMO game, massively multiplayer online role-playing game, like Black Desert Online, like World of Warcraft, of course. And that's pretty big news. But there's like no other information in this article about it whatsoever. The only thing they do point out here is that this guy worked on World of Warcraft for 6 years. So he's got the chops. You'd be interested in playing a League of Legends MMO as opposed to a League of Legends MOBA, I guess it is?
Yeah, MOBA. Honestly, you know, the League fan base is so toxic, I can't entirely subscribe to the idea.
Yeah, and I'm not sure I necessarily want to give Riot any money. I'm an MMO player. Exactly. I love MMOs. But boy,
sure,
Riot...
pretty.
Well, yeah, they've got so many fantastic art assets, and they've built up, you know, almost a decade now of lore. There's a lot of stuff that they can mine to make a very, very interesting and very different MMO. I mean, the idea of planeswalkers and so on would be pretty interesting. But, you know, it's Riot. And, you know, Riot's workplace problems, which are now pretty much industry standards, sadly, as we know about Ubisoft and other places. But, you know, they were one of the first that everybody found out about just how terrible they are to employees, particularly to female employees. And I'm not sure I want to give them my monies. Anybody out there in the chats? MMO players? Where's my MMO players at? Come on.
Anybody on Twitch?
Somebody say something.
Bueller,
Fry. Or League players. I mean, are we wrong? You're still playing League, even though Riot basically is a bunch of sexual harassing scumbags? Not all of them, just the owners, you know, people who run the company, and probably most of the people they hired that are guys. But anyway, don't take my word for it. Go look that up, folks. It's been documented to hell and gone. Yeah, so that's Riot's coming out with a League MMO at some point in the future. Given the development path and period for MMOs, there's zero chance this is going to happen before 2022, and it's probably more like 2025.
Well, I mean, you know, after the debacle that was Cyberpunk 2077, I'm hesitant either way.
Is on the topics. All right, so moving on to that, this is kind of a story, I guess. I mean, it's actually something the creator of My Hero Academia, Boku no Hero Academia, actually said, and that is that he believes that the end of the series, of the manga series, will happen fairly soon. what that means fairly soon in in Japanese terms, in manga terms, in what have you. I guess it's one thing is very clear: it is not going to be One Piece. This is not going to go on forever and ever and ever.
You always have to harp on that series, don't you?
How many chapters? 1,000.
It's going to be It'll be 1,000 in January.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's why I harp on that.
That is the testament to a dedicated storyteller, though.
No question about that.
Yes.
And give him credit. Absolutely dedicated to his own vision.
Yes.
It has been a consistent vision of world, of storytelling, and so on for pretty close to 1,000 chapters now.
Yeah,
so,
most manga artists don't even they cave to pressure from the top, but Oda stuck to his guns. But we're not talking about One Piece. We're talking about MHA.
Yep. Yeah.
I do actually have some thoughts on that though.
Thought away.
Without getting into spoilers, a lot of the content seems to be dipping its toe into in-game territory anyway. Without spoiling anything, we've seen both Deku and Shigaraki tap into new reserves of power. And with the way things are going in the manga, it looks like we could be seeing the final battle being set up, if not maybe 2 years tops.
Yeah, that makes sense. According to this thing, Horikoshi, the mangaka,
yep,
said that the movie My Hero Academia: Heroes Rising, which this is actually from, I think, Two Heroes, or maybe it's from Heroes Rising. This is from
Heroes Rising was the second one.
Okay, was supposed to be the finale for the anime, for the series. But then he decided to change that around.
That would have been a horrible ending.
Yeah. But so it's he definitely has some ideas for where it's going to end, and that wasn't it. But who knows? Who knows where he's going to take this or how long it's going to go? Maybe in 2 years it'll be all done. So get your get your ships in, get your head cannons in the next couple of years, folks. I'd like to see him do something really daring and have some
character death, maybe.
Have some meaningful death.
Yes.
They have villains that are actually very, very villainous.
Yes.
And they have had some interesting deaths that are permanent. With some interesting, I don't know, minor characters isn't the right word.
You're anime only, right?
Anime only. Well, as far as I know.
Okay, well.
All right.
Just you wait.
In that case, yeah.
Just you wait.
So yes, in the anime, and I'm referring, of course, to All Might's
Big Sis Mag.
All Might's former sidekick.
Oh yes, Sir Night Eye.
Sir Night Eye, yeah.
But yeah, Big Sis Mag also got she was kind of important in the sense of representation.
Yeah, that's true. So wherever he takes it, I think it will be interesting because he's shown that he is willing to do some pretty tough things. Sword and the Stoners, love the hats. Thank you Sword
very
and the Stoners.
much.
Yeah, we've decided that
ever.
we're all doing the Christmas thing, and Byron is just in his Santa zoot suit.
Yes.
I
was gonna say Dad coming home early for Christmas.
There you go.
Or Uncle Buck, maybe.
Uncle Buck. Yeah, good call. The hat works.
Are you a door-to-door shower curtain ring salesman?
Yes, there we go. I got these shiny platinum ones down here. Let me get them no, can't find them.
There we go.
All right, keeping with the animes, or not. So, Netflix is going to try to do it again. It's going to try to ruin a classic anime.
No.
This is Yu Yu Hakusho. If you're not familiar with what is
Nice.
For many of my anime-loving friends, the gateway anime for them.
It's a masterpiece.
It is considered a masterpiece. I have to admit that I've never made it past one episode, but and Netflix is going to be doing a live-action series. They're saying that it's going to be adapting the manga, not necessarily the anime. Executive producer is director of content acquisition at Netflix, Kazutaka Sakamoto. It looks like it is going to be produced in Japan. So maybe they're not going to make that horrible mistake like they did with Death Note of bringing it to the United States.
Have you seen the live action Mob Psycho 100?
I have not. Is it any good?
No.
Okay.
It's a complete betrayal. It's a complete betrayal of of the story that one was trying to tell in both the manga and anime.
Well, that sucks. But that's not a Netflix, though, right?
Oh no, it is Netflix.
Really?
Yes. And I've heard mixed things about the Erased live action adaptation.
I watched about half of it. It's not as good as the anime, but it's pretty good.
Okay.
It just didn't hold me hard. It didn't just grab me enough. And the main reason is because the child actor who is the main character is not really very good. All of the other kids around him are pretty good, and he's acting like he's in he's an 8-year-old in a Disney special.
Oh,
and that show is so dark that his acting is just way off, which is sad because again, everybody else, including the other kids, are really spot on. So that's why I bailed after about halfway.
Fair.
But as far as tone, as far as look, and adhering to both the manga and the anime up to the point where the anime didn't shoot itself in the foot, it was pretty good.
Yeah, we can debate back and forth about live action anime adaptations, but Yu Yu Hakusho is kind of not like, no discredit to Togashi or the series itself, but I don't see it transferring well into the 2020s, especially in live action.
Well, yeah, so if you look at some of the character designs here, I'll bring this back up. I mean, it's obviously really old school anime character designs, and his nemesis / best buddy, the guy with the rockabilly hair.
Yeah, Kuwabara.
Yeah, Kuwabara. If that design holds through, then it's going to look like a joke. But if they don't, then people are going to complain. So they're kind of in a damned if they do, damned if they don't thing.
Who asked for this? Who was really pining for a live action adaptation of Yu Yu Hakusho?
I'm guessing Kazutaka Sakamoto, director of content acquisition at Netflix, the executive producer.
Like I said last week, sacred cows make the best burgers.
And I know, Greg, this is way outside your area of expertise. You're not an anime fan.
If I am, I'm keeping stum and letting the experts do their thing.
I can recommend, just for the sake of Lakeith Stanfield's performance and Willem Dafoe as Ryuk, that you might want to watch the live-action Death Note. If you've never seen the anime, it's just
I actually have seen that anime, yeah.
Oh, okay. In that case, you'll realize it's garbage. But
I would also recommend Yu Yu Hakusho the anime, because at its core, it's a tale about redemption.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like every arc in its own way is about redemption. It's about not just the redemption of the main character, but the redemption of certain relationships, the redemption of a lot of the side characters, and the redemption of like family history.
And it's pretty much the original finger laser. So
yes.
Yeah, so you know, if you get a chance, but again, I would recommend Death Note just so that you can get Willem Dafoe's performance as Ryuk and Lakeith Stanfield as L, because they're both. Those are two really good things about a pretty bad series.
Sweet.
You mean you didn't like Mia?
So, yeah, we get a little bit of time. So the change to the main character, making him not the, I mean, he was a genius, but in the anime, he was also like the best and the brightest. Everybody liked Light.
Yep.
Making the Seattle version of Light, the live action version, a bullied nerd, completely wiped out the impact of his, well, again, his choice to use the Death Note, and in the live action series, and again, we're spoiling this a little bit for you, Greg, sorry, but he doesn't really choose to use it. He kind of futzes around with it, and then it's Mia who ultimately,
yeah,
and it's like, no, that completely negates the point of the original animated series, which is that even for people who seem to have everything going for them, there is potentially a temptation that will send them into evil.
Absolutely.
And just throw this out here. This thought literally occurred to me in the shower this morning. So Light is named Light, the English word light, not the Japanese name translated, whatever the Japanese word for light is.
It's just phoneticized in the Japanese dub.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, Lighto, which is, the Japanese way they would say the English word light.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a brilliant, charismatic, best of the best, everybody loves him kind of character with the Western name Light, who is tempted by his own pride and hubris into corruption, and then is trying to they try to stop him. The person trying to stop him is an sort of ethereal, dispassionate character.
Sherlock Holmes like
character whose name is L, pronounced like the English letter L, which, if you spelled it out, is E-L. One of the oldest names, Hebrew names of God. Mm-hmm. It is the story of Lucifer. Light is Lucifer Morningstar, the best and brightest of all of us, who is, corrupted and fallen, and God, L is God trying to stop him. Tell me I'm wrong, somebody.
This took an interesting turn.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's fascinating.
I'm gonna have to bust out my Talmud. Hold on a second. It's in my other Santa hat.
In your other Santa hat? Yeah, let's mix them.
I definitely wanted to add to that in the sense of especially the relationship between Ryuk and Light in that movie. It was all off. Part of the fascination of it was the fact that Ryuk was enthralled with with all Light's actions. This was just like a reality show that he couldn't turn away from.
Right. And
then you had the cat and mouse, the back and forth between Light and L, which that definitely was not there. He, again, like you said, he was fumbling through the Death Note, just like being haphazard. And then at the end, it's like, oh, I was just playing. I'm like, you did not earn that movie.
Right.
You did not earn that.
Yeah. No, definitely. Tonally, thematically, and from a story standpoint, really completely different than the anime. They just happen to they share certain plot elements.
Any semblance and any resemblance is superficial. Yeah.
Other than the design of Ryuk,
yes.
That CGI, they kind of nailed that. They did a good job.
Yes.
All right, moving on. So, folks, let's see if I can do that. Okay. I've got my naughty hat on.
Uh-oh.
Which means we're about to do a spoiler for something that happens at the very end of the season finale of Mandalorian. It has nothing whatsoever to do with the story. There's no reveals of anything that has any bearing on the Mandalorian whatsoever. But it's a very big bit of news that dropped at the end of that series. And for anybody who's seen that, this is the mid-credits scene that is shown. So if you don't want even that little bit that has nothing to do with the show spoiled for you, I was going to say turn away, but you won't be able to see when I've got my nice hat back on. So I'll only bring this screenshot up once. And then as long as this is on, if you turn back with the sound off and this is on, we're still talking about it.
Bad boy. And
then when we're done, I'll turn it back around. All right? So warning. 3, 2, 1. So this is the very, very end of the mid-credit scene at the end of the season finale of The Mandalorian. And in it, Boba Fett takes over Jabba the Hutt's palace with Fennec Shand, and they cut to coming soon, the Book of Boba Fett. Actually, that's what's coming soon. It's coming December 2021. The Book of Boba Fett. So they didn't announce this at Disney Investor Day, I guess because they wanted that spoiler to be in there or that big reveal and surprise. But we're getting a Boba Fett spin-off series with Ming-Na Wen as Fennec Shand, of course, Temuera Morrison as Boba Fett.
Yes.
Set on Tatooine during the early time when Obi-Wan is in hiding, which could very well go in hand with the Obi-Wan series, which we know is coming and is set at that time, and will feature Darth Vader.
So it's before The Mandalorian, then?
You're right. I'm sorry. My bad. It is not going to be set when Obi-Wan is. Those two are not at the same time. This is post... Waifu Pennywise, welcome to the show, and Merry Christmas back at you. Sorry, you're right. This is post-Empire during the attempt by the Republic to rebuild before, of course, all of the crappy stuff that happens with the First Order. I love this idea. I absolutely love this idea, particularly where they turned Boba Fett into basically armored Jet Li. I mean, he is a badass. And Ming-Na Wen, please, anything, whatever. I love the character Fennec Shand. What they're going to do about him essentially after kind of making it out like he has turned a new leaf. While he certainly loves killing the Imperial Stormtroopers, he helped the Mandalorian. And it wasn't just because of a Mando code. Now he's running...
His own code.
Yeah, and now he's running Jabba's criminal empire, apparently. Yeah, no? Good,
it
bad?
Definitely sounds interesting. My first thought was that, though, so I guess he's not doing a complete face turn after all.
True.
Yeah. It'll definitely be I'm excited to see what comes of it. More I want more of Jon Favreau's genius world building.
Yep.
Because he does it so well. I also want to try his food truck, but that had nothing to do with this conversation.
Greg, now that we've sort of spoiled it for you, you saw the news before, I'm sure. Interested at all or no?
Maybe. I'm finding the whole Star Wars on Disney Plus getting very fractal. Too many things spinning off in too many directions.
It's all about money, man.
Yeah, I mean, of course it is. You can't really begrudge Disney for trying to make money. That's technically what they do. The fact that they make movies and TV shows is incidental to that. But yeah, it's hard for me to keep up. Most of what I catch these days is the one time in the afternoon I'm on Facebook when I'm having a coffee break is the "You SOB, I can't believe you spoiled the season finale. I'm friending 90 people right now. You can burn in hell."
Yep. And there was a lot of spoiling going on for this one, as sadly we've come to expect. I'm looking forward to it. I'm kind of amazed that they're already committing to it being December 2021. So the rumors that were out there back in like August and September that or November was when somebody posted that they were already filming a Boba Fett series might have been true. Because that means that they've got enough stuff in the can that they can promise their post-production work, which is less involved by using those wraparound LED walls than green screen. Their post-production work it will be able to be done in time for a December 2021 release. So, yeah,
I just gotta say, like, this second season of Mandalorian was all about setups for like other shows, wasn't it?
It kind of was pretty much. Pennywise, please don't make spoilery comments. I know it's Tuesday. The rule is generally Monday after a Friday show. I'm a big fan of at least a week because I know a lot of people who like to binge watch entire seasons.
Yep.
So I'm not going to comment on that. Except that wasn't what happened. I can tell you without saying anything about what was going on, a face and body double. And we'll just leave it at that. All right. Having said that, and it was more than I ever wanted to say, I'm going to get this thing balanced because there we go. All right. And we're done with that, folks. We're back to nice. All right, moving on to our next. So I'm sure you've all seen this. If you haven't, here's the news. Twitch has announced that it is going to, by using some sort of technological software solution, and my marketing friends love that I just use the word solution, that they are going to figure out a way to ban the use of certain words as insults, but not as other uses of the word, I guess. And the ones they particularly cited were simp, virgin, and incel. So they didn't say anything about like bitch or the C word or anything that normally would get applied to, say, a woman. It was literally the three words that would be applied
to dudes
by dudes who are probably simps, virgins, and incels.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Sounds about white to me.
Yep. Waifu like slurs, yeah. But yep. The idea is supposedly the software recognizes the way you say it, the words around it, and is able to, if you self-deprecatingly say, I simp hard for that character, it won't stop that from going through. If you call somebody a simp, it will stop that from going through, in theory.
In theory. I mean, I think I've got to quit Twitch just because my extra virgin olive oil business is going to tank. I posted this in our things to talk about group mostly because at first blush, it seems like an interesting step in the right direction. But the more you kind of pull back the layers of what's going on and what's not going on, the more you realize this is like, slapping a Band-Aid on the dam when it's already cracked from top to bottom.
Absolutely.
Right.
One of our contributors who's not usually on camera with us, we had a kind of a back and forth online. And she brought up a point about specifically what you were mentioning about how much the toxicity towards women, towards trans people was, this is not going to do anything to help that. If anything, it's got the potential to make it worse. And they, and even worse, Twitch does very little, if anything, to, take action when female broadcasters, users, etc., are actually stalked, threatened, harassed, doxxed, etc. I mean, I'm sure
Yep.
their terms of use policy say don't dox people, but I guarantee you it happens. So this is, I hate to say it, but I think this is a case of the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
I guess. Honestly, as someone like this is just me speaking as an ally. I've been called like a white knight and a simp for for a good amount of my time on the internet or some variation of it. And I can definitely attest that this is definitely not for my sake. It's just like you guys have been saying, it's just about protecting male fragility. Because, God forbid we hold men accountable for their BS.
Now, well, yes, I agree to that. Agree with that. But to be clear, the article doesn't say that those are the only words that they're going to be,
Really?
blocking. And it may be the article's problem that it chose those particular words. So, ideally, the system is going to find, and I guess that those were the terms that apparently came out of the press release. But ideally, the system will find and block all uses of any term that is edgy, but also could be used in an insulting way. Waifu says, I don't think simp is an insult. Like they could have blocked other bad words like slurs, not just the poor words, which I mean, simp and all that other stuff people say is a joke. So there are people who actually choose to use the word with the intent of it being an insult, calling people a simp, which is essentially the new way to use the term cuck.
Yep.
They just decided, let's move on to this word instead of that one. Sad Memory Star, welcome to the show. Hi, back at you. I just... the policy goes on to say, according to this article, that it would include repeatedly negatively targeting another person with sexually focused terms such as whore or virgin. So yeah, again, why they chose? Yeah, well, yes, it is a step in the right direction, but why they chose to emphasize the three words that literally only incels and virgins worry about?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I mean, I just reread the article while you guys were talking just to kind of refresh my memory a little bit. And the one that I love, this is the only one that they could probably figure out a way to easily moderate, is emojis and related types of icons that imply or are used in the context of saying math. Yeah, so I mean, this is rapidly going to become like a challenge for people. How do you continue to get across the intent without using the word? It'll be like, when people say on network TV, oh, don't say the F word. Everyone knows what the F word means, and saying the F word as a stand-in for saying fuck. Yeah, it'll be, it'll be 2 weeks before people have found some workaround, as it were. So it's...
Yeah, they're all going to call everybody chimps. Blimp.
They'll find a way around it. They found a way around Weeaboo on 4chan.
Yeah. Yeah, Twitch, great idea. Whether it'll actually come across, whether it'll be executed properly, who knows? Marketing sucked.
Great idea if it's applied evenly and in the sections of Twitch that genuinely need it.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't talk about simp, incel, virgin. Talk about whore, bitch, C-word. Why aren't you putting that out as your press release? Why isn't that the thing? And one would assume that because they do mention whore in the article, that all of those other words will in fact be on the list. Is it just because if those are the words you concentrated on, then all of your incel, Twitch subscribers or members would call you simps, would basically, say, oh, you're a bunch of, feminazi loving whatevers. If that's your reasoning for choosing those words to put out in the press release, instead of letting the mostly hurt and at danger community of women that are on there know that you've got their back, that's just really stupid.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry I'm ranting.
Was that a grievance you just aired?
That was kind of a grievance. Damn it, I just lost my grievance.
We'll let it slide.
We'll let it slide. Moving on to the very bad, no good, truly awful week for Cyberpunk 2077.
Womp womp.
So, if you didn't see this, folks, I don't know where you've been, but game was released. Turns out it plays really well on PCs that have technology that was released within the last literally 6 months. Less than that, actually. If you've got an Intel 10 series, advanced 10 series processor, or one of the new Ryzen 9s, if you've got a NVIDIA 30 series graphics card, or one of the new 6000 series from AMD,
or a PS5 or an Xbox Series X.
Yeah. So it runs the best on a super gamer PC. It runs pretty good on a next gen, Series X or PS5. It runs like dog poop on previous gen consoles, PS4, Xbox One. It was released with the statement that it had support for previous gen or current gen consoles, and that is technically true if you don't like actually being able to play a game.
Well, I mean, it's compatible doesn't mean that it runs well on it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that's a brutal one. I mean, this is I'd be hard pressed to think of another game that's had the same kind of hype and lead up and anticipation.
So much hype.
Certainly in the last couple of months. I mean, hell, we did. God, not that long ago, we did a short segment on this show about when they announced that it was going to be delayed a couple of weeks to clean up some issues. There were death threats and people's heads exploded.
Entitlement of gamer nerds.
Yeah, and it by all accounts it could stand to have taken a little more time in QA.
Yep.
In a perfect world.
Yeah, I mean, obviously gamers react badly. Last time was probably Fallout 76. Different reasons. They weren't making claims about compatibility with platforms. They were making claims about playability, and it just wasn't playable on almost anything. So as if this wasn't bad enough for CD Projekt, the parent company of CD Projekt Red, which is the game development studio, one of the other things that CD Projekt has is a game sales division website, sort of like Steam, sort of like the Epic Game Store, called GOG.
Oh, yes.
And GOG just pulled a game by a Chinese or Taiwanese developer called Devotion, a horror game, which looks like I didn't put it up here. That was stupid of me. All right. What had in this game apparently a piece of I'm going to get his name wrong, Xi Jinping, president of China, graffiti or a meme shown in the game and the game got review bombed by Chinese players. Just absolutely destroyed its rating, which they lead you to think that's the reason why the game came down, which can't be true. There are plenty of garbage rated games on all of these stores still. It's because of the fact that this was clearly pressure from China. That China had all of these, they say it's fans. These weren't fans. They might have been fans.
Not at all.
This was a concerted effort, I'm sure, I don't know this for a fact, by the Chinese government to get this game off the platform. And CD Projekt went, no, okay, and pulled it.
Yeah, that's just another case of Western industries caving to the to Chinese money because, we don't have principles. We only care about our payday. Can I bring up what the image was?
Yep.
So the Chinese government doesn't like their leader being referenced with the character Winnie the Pooh.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I don't exactly know why. I've seen the reference a couple of times, like over the past year.
Just watch John Oliver. Just watch John Oliver. He's gone to that well a bunch of times.
Yep.
All right. I definitely will check it out at some point. But yeah, it's been a very touchy subject.
True.
So apparently the developers, called Red Candle Games, they pulled the game themselves, supposedly to do, took it offline for a while for a complete Q&A check, but it never came back online. It never got back onto the store. Supposedly, according to this article in Polygon, the game's publisher, Indivent, lost its business license in China, and Red Candle Games has since apologized for the inclusion of the meme. So whether this can be laid completely at the feet of CD Projekt and the GOG store, it doesn't seem like it. It's still, it's still problematic that they were willing, like Blizzard has done, to cave to pressure from the Chinese government, basically because there was something in there that they didn't like that was, sarcastically insulting to their president. How long before this becomes like a Charlie Hebdo thing where they are so incensed about insulting somebody that they actually will kill for it?
Oh boy, give it time.
So, and I know other cultures don't have the same, attitude we have here in generally most of the West and certainly in the United States, that everybody is subject to sarcastic, humorous criticism.
You know what this reminds me of? That an episode of like the reboot of Animaniacs where the Warners went to Russia and they were doing like a Russian spoof of Animaniacs, and they had two actors playing Pinky and the Brain, and they're like, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? What are they going to do tomorrow night, comrade? And then like the same thing we do every night, not question our dear leader.
That must have been that's not the new season, right?
Yeah, it is. I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember the exact wording they use, but yeah.
Wow, I missed that one completely. Oh, that's good. I didn't make it through the whole season. That's why. Yeah. So, CD Projekt, bad week, guys.
Not great. Although, you know what? It's funny. I had that Polygon article open, and there's on their their news crawl at the bottom, literally underneath that, it says Cyberpunk 2077 sold 13 million copies even with refunds. Yep. I don't know precisely what that means. I'm not going to dive into that one right now. But Sony is giving refunds, Steam's giving refunds. I think Best Buy agreed. I don't remember the details, but most of the major retailers that are selling it in some form or another have agreed to refunds. That was actually one of the other things that was interesting about this that made it, what not to do if, unless your goal is to piss off all of your customers and your fans, is, this kind of came through and has disappeared quickly. What do you call it? CD Projekt has made a lot of talk about refunds, about even if you've opened the game on physical media, you can return it, blah, 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 but no information about how to do it. No money has actually gone out at all. And I think people are starting to think, well, if I bought it directly through one of those channels, I'm probably, stuck with a lemon. So it's going to be interesting to see where it goes from here. Yeah, which sucks because I didn't even know a whole lot about it. It's just there's so much hype that I was seriously thinking about picking up a copy just to check it out. But I may wait until the problems get fixed.
Yeah, I would wait.
Smart.
If you haven't seen it, folks, go watch Adam Sessler's review. The first thing on the newly reopened G4 TV YouTube channel. It's hilarious. It's as far as I know, since I haven't played the game, it's accurate. It is something that he says if you got the power to play it, it's a hell of a game.
And I don't because I'm an Xbox guy.
Yeah.
I don't have the power either. I have a PS4.
All right, folks, that's it for our show. We're going to move into airing of the grievances, and I don't currently have one, so I'm going to go last. So, Greg, you were the one who thought this up, so kick it off.
Here we go. This is a airing against a potential grievance or a grievance that may happen. Freaking Tim Burton insisting that Johnny Depp be cast as Gomez Addams in the upcoming TV series of the Addams Family. It's rumor, it's conjecture, it's the internet speculating with some degree of likelihood, but please don't. Just freaking find a good Latino actor to play Gomez Addams.
Yes.
Fuck Scarlett Johansson as Gomez Addams at this point would be better than Johnny Depp.
All right, you saw.
I'd actually watch that.
You saw that weekend update bit then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Which is really hilarious. Byron.
My grievance is kind of a personal one for me because it was inspired from a family chat on Facebook. A number of my relatives have subscribed to the idea of not getting a vaccination, but it's not just they don't want to get the vaccination for COVID, but they're resorting to homeopathic medicine, elderberries and other concoctions. And I'm just like, oh my God. The last thing I said before I left the group was, we've been getting vaccines all of our lives and none of us have any particular defects unless it made some of y'all stupid. And then I just left. And then my family's like, why'd you leave? I'm like, you ignore my comments when I try to talk sense to you guys. So I'm just done. This is just another area where I'm done trying to convince people that are set in their ways.
Yep. Agreed. Gosh, I don't know that I have a grievance that I haven't already grieved. Let's say, no, I don't have anything that I can come up with right off the top of my head. Except, I'll do the one I do all the time whenever there's something like the Mandalorian season finale. People, if you spoil somebody's enjoyment of a big surprising reveal, a bit of information, plot twist, etc., in a piece of entertainment that you've already enjoyed and had that joy of getting that reveal yourself, you're a self-centered asshole. There is no other way to describe the way you view the people you consider your friends other than your enjoyment is more important than their enjoyment. And stop.
Preach on.
Preach on. Stop being self-centered assholes when it comes to giving out spoilers.
Or straight up troll, because I think a lot of people just enjoy the FU of it.
Well, in that case, you're just an asshole.
Yeah,
and by definition, self-centered. But so look,
big time.
Here's the rule: 72 hours. That's the rule that all the news sites, the good ones, adhere to. If it's, if you can see it at midnight or 12:01 Friday morning, they don't put anything up until 12:01 Monday morning. 72 hours. The equivalent of a weekend and a Friday. So 3 days. At least adhere to that.
Just a good call.
I'm a week.
Or obviously lots of Facebook and related groups out there. We have friends that several years ago started a come here if you want to talk about things before everyone else has private Facebook groups that you have to join and be approved. And it's 8 seconds after the Mandalorian season finale ends. Let's talk about blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
Yeah, great. That's awesome. You're going in eyes wide open. That's amazing. But don't just be a dick. I'll second you with that particular grievance because there's a lot of that out there.
As will I.
And we got Wonder Woman coming up on Christmas Day. We've got WandaVision starting January 15th. Please, folks.
A lot of potential.
I'm going to put this out there. The Venn diagram between people who post spoilers and anti-maskers is probably close to this. It's all about you, and there's zero consideration for the people who could be hurt either emotionally if you are spoiling or actually physically and dying if you don't wear a mask. So stop being both of those things. Luminous blasted news outlets spoil The Mandalorian in their headlines. Some of them did. I will admit that. I'll give you that. The better ones didn't. The better ones waited until Monday morning, and because I was following them and watching Monday morning, the posts just this happened and look at that and that. It was just amazing, that drop on Monday. But yeah, the ones that couldn't wait. Well, guess what? Their editors are assholes. Mm-hmm. Anyway, on that grievance, if you want us to talk about The Mandalorian with all the spoilers that anybody could ever want, join us tomorrow night. We are going to be doing a special early, since we're not doing Thursday because it's Christmas Eve, full fat spoiler chat. It's going to be about The Mandalorian Season 2. We're going to spoil the bejeebus out of it. So join us 8 o'clock tomorrow night, Wednesday, not Thursday this week.
It's an early Christmas gift for the fans.
Early Christmas gift for everybody who wants to get in and chat about what they thought about all those reveals.
There you go.
So join us tomorrow night, Greg, if you get a chance to watch the finale. But if not, we'll see you sometime else.
Cool.
For me, Rodney Brown, editor-in-chief of Nerd Caliber, it's good night. Greg?
And everybody, Greg Snyder, Wonderlama Photography. Merry Christmas. Happy week after Hanukkah. We celebrate both here in Chateau Wonderlama. I hope you all have a safe, happy holiday. I hate to think that how hard it is for a lot of people not to be with their families, but hopefully you're being safe. You're getting together for Zoom. I know my family's doing 2 or 3 different Zoom get-togethers. And I think we're going to do our usual Christmas Day movie fest on Zoom. So have a good one.
Cool. Byron?
This is Byron D0 saying good night and good luck. See you tomorrow night. Bye. Merry Christmas.
See you all, folks. And I won't say Merry Christmas because I'll say it tomorrow night. But happy holidays for all the other holidays around. Blessed Yule for those who celebrated yesterday.
Yes.
Chris McQuanzika.
Yes, that's coming right up.
And happy Festivus for the rest of us.
Exactly. And happy Festivus for the rest of us. Lumina says, good night all. Don't kill anybody. Good